Hello and welcome back to another episode of Carter's Basic Car Maintenance. Today we're going to be talking about our brakes. Now when it comes time to change your brakes, instead of taking it to a shop or the dealership where it's going to cost you about $500-600 to get your rotors and brake pads replaced, we're going to be doing it ourselves with this website called R1 Concepts. So just like many of the other websites, it's going to ask you to put in the year, make, and model of your car. We've got today a 2013 Chrysler 200, and then it's going to ask us what size brake rotors we would like. Now, if you don't know what size brake rotors you need, you can look it up in your owner's manual or you can look it up online, and it should tell you very easily. Today we're going to be going with the 295mm in the front and the 262mm in the back. Alright, we're going to search that up, and today we're going to be looking for front and rear axle. So R1 Concepts has two lines of brake rotors. They've got the E-Line series, which is their base level, and the R1 Carbon Gommet. Today we're going to be going with the E-Line brake series rotors, and we're going to be going with a blank rotor for minimal noise. So now we've got that selected. We're going to scroll down, and it's going to ask us what kind of brake pads we would like from R1 Concepts. Now it recommends that we get the R1 Concepts Optium OEP. These are their best brake pads. They are the most expensive, but they will last the longest, provide the best stopping performance, and they won't make any noise. So we're going to go ahead and select those, but before we do, you should know they also have the R1 Concept ceramic pads, which aren't as good, less expensive, don't last as long, but are still a very good brake pad. And they've got the R1 Concepts semi-metallic, which are your very base level, loud, kind of not very good brake pads. So we're going to be going with the R1 Concepts Optium OEP. We're going to add all of that to our cart. And then since that's basically all we need today, we're going to be going to the cart to make sure it all looks right. And it's going to tell us that we need brake hardware. These are very important when changing out your brakes, so it's going to ask us to add that to our cart. So we're going to go ahead and add that for just $10. And so we're going to make sure we've got the right set of brake rotors for the 295mm in the front and the 262mm in the back. And then we've got the right brake pads. Yes, we do have the Optium OEP brake pads, and that we have our brake hardware for our front and rear brakes. And now all you have to do is put all your information in, and it should arrive to your house in about 5 to 10 business days. And then you will be all set to change your brakes, which we're going to go do right now. So now we are going to change the brakes on this 2013 Chrysler 200. Alright, so once you've got the car up in the air like this and the wheel off, first thing you're going to want to do is take a 15mm socket on your socket wrench, and you're going to break the bottom caliper guide pin bolt loose. And then once you've got that loose, you're going to twist it with your hand off a little bit, and then it should slide right out. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to lift up this clamshell here, and you're going to take the top caliper guide pin bolt out, and you're going to set that somewhere that's not putting stress on the brake line, just like so. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your brake pads out. I already took this one off. So today we are going to just be taking the brakes off and putting them back on, since this does not need a proper brake job, but it should show you all of the proper steps to how to change your brakes. Alright, so once you've got the caliper off, now you're going to need to get the caliper bracket off. This does require a specialty 18mm socket. So it's going to be lefty-loosey on both the top and bottom bolts. Once I find them. Alright, so now that you've got that off, it's time to get the rotor off. Usually they'll just come loose and you can just take them off like that. Sometimes they will need a little bit of persuading from a hammer. And then with all of that, you've got your brakes successfully off. Now it's time to put them back on. Alright, now you're just going to do everything in reverse. So you're going to take your brake rotor, your new one, and you're going to stick that back on the studs there. It is a heavy brake rotor, so be careful. And now as you see, the brake rotor likes to sit uneven, so we're just going to take one of our lug nut and we're going to tighten that down so that the brake rotor can't move. just like so. Now that you've got the rotors sit back against the surface well, you're going to take your caliper bracket and put it on just like it came off. And you're going to take your top caliper bracket bolt and you're going to put that back in the hole and tighten it down with your hand. Unfortunately, yet again, a part of the footage was lost, and after you get that caliper bracket back on and you have both bolts hand tightened down, you're going to tighten those both down to 35 foot-pounds. And then once you have that, you're going to depress the caliper piston, which will be shown here in the next clip. So as you can see, we're just going to position the old brake pad right here, the C-clamp going over the entire brake caliper, and then we're just going to slowly turn to the right to compress that brake piston in. And then once we feel it stop, right about there, we're going to loosen, and we're going to take the C-clamp off, along with the old brake rotor. And then we are going to reinsert that caliper guide pin here at the top after we lubricate it with a little bit of the grease. You can also pick that up at Advanced Auto Parts. This is a lifetime supply since there is so much here, but you can use it for many other jobs as well. So you're going to just reinsert that caliper guide pin. You're going to close the clamshell back over, wipe your fingers off, and then you're going to take your other caliper guide pin. You're going to lube that one up as well with some of the grease. Make sure you get this nice and coated so that it doesn't squeak. And then once you got that, you're just going to reinsert that one as well back there in the back. This is a bit tricky. It takes a little bit of play just to get it into that little boot back there. You might need to move the clamshell around a little bit, but once you do get it in there, you're just going to turn it to the right until you can't turn it anymore. And now we are going to use the same 15mm socket that we used at the beginning of the episode to take it off. Alright, and just like any of the other bolts, you're going to righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You're going to just hand tighten that one to where you think it should be. And then there you go. You just did your first brakes. Now you're going to do that on the other 3 wheels. And as you can see, working on a car, especially the brakes, are going to get your hands very dirty. You get your face very dirty. So don't wear anything you don't want to get very dirty. Like me, I was wearing a white shirt. Thankfully, I didn't get anything all over it. Well, that's it. You did your first brakes. Now you're just going to take that lug nut back off, and you're going to put the wheel back on. And then you're going to go to the back one. You're going to do that one. And then you're going to go to the other back one. And then you're going to go to the other front one. And then it'll be done. Job should take 2 to 3 hours, depending on your skill level. But it is extensively cheaper than having somebody else do it. Alright. Now that you got the wheel back on, you're going to want to torque the bolts down to somewhere between 100 and 110 foot-pounds. If you want more information on how to take a wheel on or off, go check out my tire maintenance video. Thank you for watching Carter's Basic Car Maintenance Episode 5, Brakes. Drive safe and have fun.